Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Just uno momento. Ah. Okay, I think we're good now. Just give me a tick. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of OnlyBantz. OnlyBantz is a podcast project that I decided, well, that I've been thinking about in my head for the last 4 or so months, and decided to pull the trigger on in early April. In this podcast, we're basically going to have a bunch of cool people on here. It's on a one-on-one conversation where we talk with one guest and we talk shit about various things. Nothing specific, but if there's anything that anyone wants to bring to the table specifically, then they can. Always encouraged, but yeah. My name's Hyper. You've probably seen me around on this here channel doing streaming and dumb shit. You know, it's all uncensored here. It's all fun. But tonight we have our very first guest, the wonderful, the lovely, the forever talented, Little Arty. Now,
hello.
Oh, good. I was hoping that I didn't fuck the audio somehow, like mid-production. That would have been fucking terrible.
Given the sound check issues we had today, yeah, I was just like, hang on, because I can't see you on this now. Obviously, I can hear you, but I was like,
yeah.
Am I meant to speak and wave now? So I would just sit still.
I really need to work out a way that I can send my webcam through, or I might have to get like a second webcam, so like I plug it into my desktop machine, like my main PC, and then use that as a video camera. So that way you've at least got some sort of face, because right now I've only got the one webcam, and that's going to my streaming PC, but that's not the one that Zoom's running off of. So things, technology, right?
Crowdfund that.
The crowdfund. No. We're trying to crowdfund for DaVinci Resolve right now. So,
yeah, that will be amazing.
Yeah, DaVinci Resolve is great when it's the legit version. Anyway, Ladies and gentlemen, we have Little Arty here. She is the former community words are hard community manager of Twitch Adelaide, but she's also a very talented artist. Little Arty, would you like to say hello to everyone and do your thing, like introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about you, what you've got going on.
Well, I'm Little Arty. As Hyper said, I was one of the community managers till recently. I chose to retire at this point in time for personal reasons. But it was a case of COVID and self-reflection, and I had a few other opportunities come up, like the Ko-Fi Ambassador program, and also wanting to do more of my own content. I've been involved with this Adelaide community since 2017 sometime.
Yeah, that sounds
I think
about
late
right.
2017. Lovely as their first community moderator, and then went on to help obviously Hyperstrike and Ruby Plays with meetups, and then Hyperstrike and I running meetups for a bit, and then worked with lovely Alchemy and Tealful and Nictacular, Dax Midnight Chaos for a while, and then COVID decided to show up. So that's kind of put meetups on hold for a while, and I think the team will be resuming meetup in the coming months. So,
oh, good.
I mean, we've beaten COVID. So
I wouldn't say
COVID
that, but
well, I would say in Adelaide we've actually done pretty well. We've done all the right things. We've done our vaccinations, we've done our restrictions, we've done our social distancing, we've done our coding, and I think if we get through winter and the flu season, and COVID being about a bit more in the flu season, I think the meetups will be fine. So that's cool. As Hype said, I am an artist as well as a self-taught graphic designer, I suppose you'd call it. Streaming actually was how that all came about. I needed to make my own graphics because I couldn't afford to commission someone. So I went, well, let's just see how we go. And in fact, Raspberry Sheep helped me make my very first heart-shaped art palette emote. I have since turned it into a vector emote, and so it's a bit more clean and crisp and sharp, but she gave me pointers around the first emote I designed, so I want to give her a bit of kudos. And yeah, so I watched her art develop over the years, and she's amazing, and I'm so glad she's finally this year getting confident enough to put more of her work out there so more people can see her work.
absolutely.
And it makes me feel happy.
I remember the one of the very first streams that I popped in, because it was actually Raspberry that put us she was like just browsing Twitch at the time, and she found you, and I think you were doing things from your mobile phone or your laptop at the time, and you had the
oh yes, I remember that one.
It was a pretty
Sharp
bad setup.
It was. That was probably one of my very first streams. So it was I still even have the laptop. It was an Asus laptop. I think it was running an i3. I think I had like a C270 webcam, maybe, and I didn't have a mic, so I just had very basic Sony earbuds.
You had the inline corded ones with the inline microphone and the in-ear buds, and I remember that.
Oh, it was so scuffed.
Scuffed is a word.
And Australian internet, so add in like 10 down, 1 up. Yeah, it was very scuffed. The very first few streams were scuffed, but that's the cool thing with streaming. The best way to do it is to start with the basics, and if you don't have the basics and you want to make content, just starting somewhere. And that was what I did. I just worked with what I had, and then as the times went through, we picked up a few more pieces of gear. I also had the very, very, very fortunate luck with entering tech competitions on Twitter.
I was about to say, you did win quite a number of bits of gear. It was like, I'm sitting back here and I'm going, how the fuck is she doing this?
I don't know. I still don't know.
And you and your partner, Jackson Midnight, like you guys have built like 2 PCs that you sort of,
one.
At the moment, was it the 1 or is it 2? I thought.
Still got the 1.
Okay.
Well, no, we've still got the 1. I stream from my laptop when I which is now not an i3 laptop, it's an i5 or an i7 1050 Ti Dell laptop from a few years ago. Again, I can't take credit for buying that one because I didn't. Ring of Elysium, when it was the in thing, they had a competition thing on their thing, they would give away laptops or give away stuff. And I just went, I'll just see. I don't think they're going to, like, it was a global giveaway too. So I was like, I've got no chance in hell. We've just got no chance. It's just, I ended up just to see what would happen. Kind of got a bit of disbelief because it came around my birthday or a month after my birthday. I got the notification on my birthday week before Christmas that I'd won it. And then it came like the month afterwards in that January, February sort of thing. And I was still like, I still couldn't believe it. I think it arrived and I was in my pajamas. So Jackson's got a picture of me in my pajamas opening this box with like the styrofoam beads going just about everywhere. And yeah, that was weird, but really cool, but really weird. So
the fact that you won a laptop from Ring of Elysium, like a prominent battle royale shooter, is
that I'm absolutely potato at, but it was fun.
That's fucking insane. Like, I never would have thought a game developer would be giving away a fucking gaming laptop of all things.
No, I was a bit of disbelief at the same time. Like, it was weird. Still look at it today and going, I can't believe I actually won this. It was but the game itself, I'll be blunt with you guys. I'm an artist. I'm not a good gamer in terms of like first-person shooters. Badger, O'Neill, and the Shark Slot would know that, and even Jackson was there at the time of the game. We were in PUBG, and you had the blue zone coming in, and I thought I'd parked the car. I didn't hit the brake properly. I used a brake. I didn't realize there was a handbrake button, and car just rolled away, and we didn't make it.
As in, it rolled backwards because the handbrake wasn't on?
No, it rolled, it rolled forward. And so the guy, I didn't make it through. We were trying to get to the safe zone and it just didn't. It rolled, it went away, and the guys didn't make it. They tried running after it, they didn't make it. I had died. It was awkward, and they don't let me drive.
You mentioned you mentioned Badger and Sir Shark's lot. Now I do remember you having a solid BR crew a couple of years ago, like Badger and Sir Shark's lot, Jackson. How well did you guys like play together in battle royales?
I was the loot squirrel, so I would pick up as many bandages and medkits and stuff, and if there was a Panzerfaust, I would get it, because let's face it, if I'm going to die, I'm going to at least try and take someone else out with me at the same time.
Oh, like one of the kamikaze rockets, like just shoot it at the ground and splash damage, kill everything, including yourself.
I would just like, I would try. I like things that go kaboom.
Big explodey things.
Yes. I'm like the penguins from Madagascar, which is like, I can explode them. Yes, let's do it. Right. I'm not good at throwing grenades. They will kill me. I've learned that. That's just very bad. But yeah, I will be the team medic. So,
team medic? That medic, sounds like Raspberry's role.
But don't get me wrong. I can do something like, if I'm scared, I will shoot. Or I'll hide and then I'll shoot.
Are you a spray and pray, or are you like a hesitant line-up shot and make sure that it's perfect and then never shoot them sort of person?
If I know I'm the last one left, I will try and sneak a bit, and if I can see someone, I will just go for it. Or if everyone's dying around me, I'll be just like, let's just go and just do it. But yeah, I think, see, for me, Ring of Elysium, I liked it when it was out, because when it was first out, it was very simple, and you didn't have too much. Everyone had a level playing field. You had your pick what you were going to drop in with and what you could drop, and like the map entrance from a grid, and then you had to find your own way. But then when they complicated it, I stopped playing.
When you say they complicated it, because I didn't really play too much of Ring of Elysium.
They added too many options in, and just it got a bit somewhere. It went to a weird space. It was somewhere between trying to be like PUBG, but also kind of gimmicky like Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
but beautiful surroundings. That was the thing. Ring Elysium, very beautiful game. I liked the snowboarding aspect because everyone could load in with, I think it was like a bike on certain maps, or like gliding materials, or rock climbing, or snowboarding, depending on the map, if it was a winter or a summer map. So if it was a summer map, you had to escape the volcano. If it was a winter map, you had to escape the blizzard, which is reasonable. And they added a couple of maps here and there and changed things up a bit and had events. And like in the early days, it was buggy as heck, but it was a visually pretty game, and that's why we all sort of played it for fun. But yeah, I just die a lot in those sorts of games, but I just enjoy it.
Speaking of
hang out with friends.
Speaking of those sort of games, like you guys had a pretty solid crew. That I did notice that you bounced around between different games, and Ring of Elysium was music is drowning Arty out a little bit. All right, give me a tick. Let me actually just turn the music off. That'll probably be the easiest. On the actual.
Sorry, I have my scuffed sort of Zoom set up with you tonight.
Yeah. How's that now, Aggro? Is that better? Like, you should be able to hear her now. Anyway,
I'm trying to turn my volume up a bit too. That helps.
I think you're coming in pretty loud, but yeah, it's fine. So going back to those sort of games, so you played a lot of different battle royale games. Like, I noticed that you guys were all bouncing around. What are your top 5 battle royale shooters?
I only really have the 2 that I've played. I've played 3. I've played Fortnite early days, very early days, and then kind of stopped. Because then I think we started playing Ring of Elysium, and then we moved to PUBG. But that'd probably be the 3 that I'm familiar with. But visually, yeah, PUBG has gotten to be quite pretty, and so I would say PUBG is probably still up there with Ring of Elysium, and then you've got Fortnite just for the cartoony visuals. But the building in Fortnite always drove me nuts because I can't build.
Have you tried
I can't build at speed.
Have you tried the new Fortnite update? Like, I'm not a fan of Fortnite myself. Like, it like the building was always wank to me, but also I hated the spread of the fire from the guns. But the new update for Fortnite, from what I'm led to believe, is actually remove the building.
I haven't done it yet, but that's largely because I'm not on super awesome internet at the minute. So I haven't been game to try hotspotting to see if it works. But I would probably, out of curiosity, give it a shot.
Do you think it would detract too far from the experience?
No, I think visually it's got a different appeal base. It's got a very cartoony, stylized, crazy, color-coded gun thing, and you got your quirky golf carts, and visually it's just it's a different. So you play it for a different reason. Like, for me, visually, PUBG and Ring of Elysium had a bit more realism to it. And that's what I liked, because I liked the scenery. It was kind of like, cool, we can go to the snow, we can go to look like a European style island thing. Yeah, I'd give it a go just to see if it was the fun parts of it that I remembered playing with there. But again, I was also really crap at Fortnite. I probably wouldn't play a solo match. I'd probably have to find some friends to give it a whirl with.
Find some friends to sort of carry you, cough, cough.
Yes.
All right. So what's going on with you right now? Like, you're sort of doing art, you're doing things with your business. Tell us a little bit more about you and what's going on.
Okay, so on Twitch, and when I make content, or even online, I have 2 aspects to what I do. So for me, I used to be a Twitch affiliate under my Little Arty Studio Twitch channel. Partway through, I think it would have been last year, I decided to exit the affiliate program because I just didn't feel like it was fitting in with what I wanted to do in terms of making my art more easily accessible, and for people not to feel pressured to, like, they have to contribute money to get access to emotes that I've made, or I wanted to remove the price point aspect of things.
Yep.
So what I did was I found a crowdfunding platform, Ko-fi, and
Is it Ko-fi or Ko-fi?
it's Ko-fi because it rhymes with Sophie, from what I've been told.
Really?
Yes.
You see,
This comes from one of the admins.
I've heard 3 different iterations of how it's supposed to be pronounced: Ko-fi, Ko-fi, and coffee. I originally started with coffee.
I originally started with Ko-fi because I have the hyphen, but then I found out it was Ko-fi like Sophie and no fee.
Oh.
So
that makes sense.
It does. And then when they started bringing out stream alerts, I thought, oh, cool, I'd love to be able to beta test for this. So you guys are taking on beta testers. And then they said, oh, sure, yeah, do it. So they gave me access to the beta testing things. And then around May last year, they offered people thing of like, if you had the Ko-fi Gold, you could access Discord integration. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I gave them some feedback. I'm like, I'd love to be able to access this, but I, even as a beta tester, I can't, sort of thing. I gave them some really constructive feedback about how they could, maybe that would be something that will be more broadly needed and accessible to people if they could. And then I get a DM I got a follow from the guy behind the platform.
Nigel?
Nigel.
Yep, Nigel Pickles, I think his name is.
He is, and he's very cool. And he acknowledged and then I got a DM. I was like, whoa, what's going on? And he said, oh, I really appreciate your feedback saw your feedback, really love it. And by the way, here's a gold upgrade for about 12 months. I was like, sorry, you what? I'm like, but because I'm like, I'm not that big a following on Twitter, and I've only got a handful of followers on Instagram, and like on the platform itself, I was like, who's what now? How does this? Then about a week later, I got a DM from one of the admins on the platform itself, and I was like, and they're like, oh, would you like to? We love what you do. We'd like to, see if you wanted to join the ambassador program. And I just kind of went, I'm sorry, what now? Are you kidding? Again, not, it's not something you think is going to happen, because I knew that they had ambassadors, and I just assumed that they're all, fairly prominent creators on there and doing stuff. And I checked a few of them out. Oh, they look really cool. And so, yeah, that happened. So, I get to help out with special Discord channels about, what they're developing, and they take on feedback and suggestions, and we get to, query, things if we're trying to work out how to use a feature or if it's something that they're testing. And it's really cool. They've got a really great team behind the platform, actually quite a small team considering the size of the platform now. And they just work so hard, and they've just got this drive and passion to make the platform really user-friendly where possible, try to give it as many features that people want to use. So the new things they brought in were like the shop features. They've recently brought in like some, I think, member-only shop stuff for certain.
They did bring that in recently, yeah.
Yeah, so, and the stream alerts, they brought in a Twitch chatbot, and I think they might be working on something for YouTube as well.
They have the YouTube chatbot that works already.
Yeah.
It actually works really, really well considering.
Yeah, it's a very new feature they've brought out, and stuff like that, because we've been going, hey, we'd like this, and recently they're doing lots of things. They're trying to make it a go-to platform that you can, either make a one-off donation to a creator, or if you want to, if they've got them activated, you can do like either a monthly subscription or like become a member of a membership tier. Again, the bulk of that is in the control of the creator itself. So, you can set your cost for your minimum donation to be a certain amount, and in your own currency where possible. Those sorts of things that, means that they don't take any cuts there. That's like, that goes to the creator. And if they do take any cuts anywhere, they try to make them as small as possible.
Yep.
And I felt they were very, even before I became an ambassador, very creator centric in terms of what they wanted. They wanted people to have a positive experience.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just they've got this beautiful approach to energy. Anytime you've got feedback, it might take a couple of days to get back to you, but know that they're actually, reading your feedback and
carefully considering what it is that you've submitted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
very well thought out. Their responses are always, they put their heart and soul into it. And they've recently got, in the last few months, a community Discord, and that's just huge. Like it's an amazing space, and I am a moderator in there as well, which is something I've only recently started doing. Haven't had a chance to moderate much of anything because most of the action happens at nighttime when I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
So I wake up to the moderator chat and it's like, this has all happened overnight. I'm like, whoa, okay, I missed all of that because I was asleep.
I've actually met quite a few cool people from that Discord. Shout out to Mesame TV here on YouTube. He's somebody who went from streaming on Twitch to now streaming on YouTube full time. And he's from Singapore. He's fucking awesome. Like, he has a wealth of knowledge of like cameras and shit like that. And you should see his setup. Holy crap! It's just, but like, that was like the last place that I really expected to really make new friends was in a Discord around crowdfunding or crowd support. Like, but you from what you've said about the Ko-Fi team and how well or how hard they work and whatnot, I've seen that with my conversations with Nigel, because he's reached out to me before as well, and he goes, "Hey, how can we do this? What should we do here?" And feedback back and forth. He's just a genuine dude.
He's like one of the best eggs you'll find on the internet.
Yeah.
He being the person that originally had came up with the idea for this platform, and here leads the team. That like his leadership and the team, they just a very cohesive bunch. And like when we had a separate ambassador Discord that was very special. And yeah, there'd be some times when we all get excited about something, so we'd put a meme out, and one of the other admins would put out a meme back. Like you'd get like this back and forth. So you'd come into the chat one day and it'd be like just a heap of gifts. And everyone's just having a good time. And it's still very much that's now happening in the main new community Discord they've created, and it's fabulous. Like it's great to see people connecting, making friends, exchanging information and ideas, and just in general just being so wholesome.
Yeah, it's definitely different to some of the other public Discords for certain services and whatnot that I've been part of. It's everyone's helpfully contributing rather than constantly being, this doesn't work, and then getting really snarky at moderators and stuff like that. Like it's a really good space. But how's your Ko-Fi going? Like you're a Ko-Fi ambassador. How's your Ko-Fi going? Like, have you made much use of the new features, like the new shop feature, the new commissions feature, etc.?
Unfortunately, at the moment, I have had to put some of my art stuff and my content creation on hold, but I was really glad that we had this chance tonight to have this catch up, because unfortunately I got diagnosed with cancer in April, and I start chemotherapy at 9:45 tomorrow morning. It's going to be a brutal 5 weeks.
5 weeks?
This week, 5 weeks. So basically I will have, when the schedule kicks in on week 2 completely, it'll be chemotherapy and 5 once a week, and then 5 sessions of radiotherapy Monday to Friday. So it'll be like rocking up for work just about, but getting zapped with either lasers or injected with chemotherapy drugs. And that's basically the gist of it. I kind of in late January, early February, I was feeling a little bit off, and I couldn't work out quite what was wrong, and it's taken a couple of months to get a diagnosis. But essentially, I would say I am extremely, extremely grateful to the community I have around me, not just in my streaming friends and the people who follow me on social media, but friends that I have offline, and family, and just even the support services as well. Like Cancer Council has been amazing, and there's also another organisation, Look Good, Feel Better, who do confidence kits that they have requested, and they're sending one out. My local library does home delivery, so like books on demand. Who needs Uber?
I mean,
so
books on demand versus Uber. Would you rather sate your hunger for knowledge or for fatty foods?
Oh, look, I mean, I have had this weekend. I have had to enjoy my deli meat and my soft cheeses a bit more because I found out one thing I can't have for 5 weeks. I was like, because apparently it's not something you can have while you're having chemo. And it's like, well, that sucks. So, right, give me some deli meats this weekend. Give me some soft cheese. Let me just have a charcuterie board.
Just like mung on it all weekend right up until Monday.
Well, it was a bit yesterday and a bit today, and it was a bit good.
Was it heaps good?
It was heaps good.
Heaps good. South Australian heaps good.
Heaps good. Speaking of South Australian, Farmers Union iced coffee is apparently going to go lactose free from about May 11th. So anyone who likes lactose free milks, you can get your iced coffee fix in about a week.
I am a feel-good drinker because my stomach doesn't really play nice with the regular Farmers Union iced coffee. The regular Farmers Union iced coffee makes me go into a gravy train, so that's fun. But yeah,
that's not good.
Delightfully pleased to hear that there's going to be a lactose-free version of it. Keen to try it. But I dare say I'd probably end up sticking with Feel Good because between the two, the coffee content from the original iced coffee doesn't hit me like the Feel Good one does.
See, I've never really done a lot of the actual iced coffee drinks. And so whenever I have it, I feel like, oh my God, I can taste all the sugar, but where's the coffee part? So for me, I generally will do a proper iced coffee at home or out, but I don't touch the actual iced coffee itself.
When you do an iced coffee at
Chocolate
home...
milk is a whole other thing.
You can't have iced coffees, can you? You can't have coffee.
I use a coffee machine. I'll make the coffee and then I'll cool it down with some ice cream and add milk. And that, to me, probably slightly more towards somewhere between an affogato and a milkshake. But it's so good. I get the caffeine buzz pretty nicely. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting 5 weeks. I've heard there's going to be issues with taste changes and things and all the rest of it. And for me, the disappointing part is I've got an amazing tablet that, again, got help with crowdfunding through the Ko-fi platform. And it's a beautiful XP Pen display tablet. So it's like, I started off with a Wacom into a straw of a small one, like it's probably like a straw. And I still have it and I love it. And then thought I wanted to try drawing on a screen and see how that goes. And I researched a heap of tablets and ended up going with XP Pen, waiting for a sale. And yeah, a beautiful tablet, beautiful finish. It's metal and it's gorgeous display area. It's got shortcut buttons, it's got 2 dials. And I never thought I'd own something like that so quickly. Like I always thought, to get a tablet, I'd have to get another Wacom. It'd have to be a Cintiq, and I'm so glad I didn't go that way. So yeah, I've got like a tablet ready to go, and I've been using it a little bit and dabbling with a few things, but unfortunately, art's going to have to go on the back burner for a little while, along with any of the gaming stuff I would like to do. But it's for a good cause, essentially. If I get back on my feet, I can get back to doing my usual stuff. But right now, the big boss battle I have is beating my cancer, and just got to do it. Essentially.
Because of the two subjects we've just discussed, both Ko-fi and your cancer diagnosis, ladies and gentlemen that are in the chat or that are listening to this podcast, Little Arty also has a Ko-fi goal at the moment to help keep her studio bills sort of in check, I guess. I'm not too sure what vernacular to use here. So in the description for the video or wherever else you're listening to this, there will be a link to her Ko-fi page where you can chip in, help out a little bit, help keep the studio bills running, that sort of stuff. You know, because this has happened to a really, really nice person, and, you know, get up and support, and words are hard. You know the shit that I'm trying to say. Just go and fucking chuck money at her. Go do that.
No, stop it. Oh, jeepers. Getting a bit risky in here.
Look, I didn't want to put you on the spot like that, but
No. Look, I mean, I have to say, the reason I didn't feel comfortable putting that goal up. I kind of knew that the studio, to keep me running, I was going to need to have some income. And this is the bit that annoys me about the way Australia does its medical system. There are these lovely two terms called inpatient and outpatient, and you can have private health insurance, but in certain circumstances, it doesn't matter if you have it because it's not useful.
Yep.
And so the way it works at the moment is that for my chemotherapy that I have once a week, that's covered by my health insurance because technically I'm admitted for 3 hours. But my radiotherapy, I don't have to be admitted for that because it's a short
stay.
Because apparently radiotherapy is very quick. For those of you who haven't had it before, what they do is there's this preliminary CT scan they do, and they measure you out and sort of position you and take measurements and scan you. But they also then, at the end of it, to make sure they position you in that exact position again, they give you a couple of tattoo marks, depending on where they need to.
Oh, you're going to get some ink.
I've already got that. And yeah, so you get 3 dots essentially, like 2 on the side and then 1 on your tummy. Unfortunately for me, I'm not good with needles or pain, and they don't do the thing where you see in tattoo shows where people get a bit numbed first. They mark you up and then they do it. And for me, I have a scar on my stomach from previous abdominal surgery I had for another medical condition that's completely separate. And the one they had to do on that hurt. I teared up. I was just like, that was the most painful one. And the other 2 didn't hurt as much, but like that middle, the second one was probably the one that hurt the most. And they're tiny dots though, like tiny, like they're like a pen tip. So like you wouldn't see them like now, but they're there, but they're just minuscule. But God, they were painful at the time.
I'm not going to say that I'm trying to compare, you know, what you're about to go through versus, you know, something that's happened to me. Last week I had a cyst removed, and they didn't use enough anesthetic, so I could feel the blade when he was cutting.
Yeah.
So
I've had that as a kid on my toe. I had something that similar, and they numbed it, but again, not enough numbing, and yeah.
Yeah, and you can feel it stinging as it's going through, but you can only imagine what it'd be like if it was without anesthetic.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
So yeah, the Kofi goal is really important for me, because that helps keep bills in check for me and make sure also that the studio is still going to be in a good position so that when I leave this session and get better,
you're able to like not have to play catch up. You can just jump straight into it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be worrying, is the studio going to be in good nick, because it will still have the capital, because essentially being a sole trader, it works that whatever you earn from your business you can use for expenses. You can do what's called a personal drawing, and I'm trying to minimize that impact. Unfortunately, there are certain scans that have cost money, but I have been fortunate in the fact that I have had family support through that process as well. I still don't feel comfortable with that circumstance or with the Kofi thing, but unfortunately private health doesn't cover everything, and our public health system also doesn't cover everything. I'm apparently going to make the Medicare safety net or PBS safety net within these next 5 weeks, which is saying something. So
I didn't realize that they were covered under the PBS.
some stuff, it's PBS or MBS. I don't know. Like, I'm learning a lot about the Medicare system right now.
And
I'm
how it's
learning that
fucked.
I wasn't going to say it, but you did.
Look, hey, when I invited you onto this podcast, I said just fucking lay it out. It's uncensored, and you're like,
Okay,
you're going to get an uncensored Arty. This is what I expect.
So the way it works is with our wonderful Medicare system, that is, you can go to a doctor and do the paying up front and then tap your card again to get your refund. But in certain circumstances, you can go for a scan, and instead of Medicare sending the check directly to the provider that you have gone to the scan for, they will send you the Medicare check, which you then need to get to the provider that you got the scan from in the first instance.
I hate that. Like, why send me the fucking check when you can send it directly to them, you dumb cunts?
So it was just like, why do I have to do this? Why are you sending me a check for? And why is this a gap payment? Why don't you just charge me the gap payment on the invoice, not the amount that, yeah, it's really stupid. And what's also really stupid is a few years back, you could get from the government a thing called a sickness allowance. So if you were temporarily incapacitated or sick, like chronically sick for a bit, that you needed to go through treatment, you could apply for a sickness allowance. We don't have that ability in Australia anymore. You'd have to go through the job seeker protocol to do it.
You have to go on the dole to get an allowance because you're terminally sick.
Well, I'm not terminal. We won't use that term. I'm just sick.
I mean, okay, so terminally sick, ridiculous. Non-terminally sick, like just very impactful.
So if very impactful, you'd have to go through the Centrelink process with all the hoops and rings of fire, essentially.
Hoops and clusterfuckery.
Yes. And then you would then need to go through all the means testing and stuff. And then you'd probably have to get yourself a doctor certificate or something to say that what you had, so that they wouldn't try and make you look for work. And I used a bit of Centrelink through the course of as a sole trader, when they had the supports for sole traders through Centrelink through the worst of COVID. And even that, that was extraordinarily stressful as a sole trader. You just wanted support, but in order to get some, you still had to run through the, flames and hoops and horrid stuff. And so I was like, right, I don't have the mindset to even attempt it now. It's just been, there are days where I'm very much put together and I go, okay, cool, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And then there are days like, I think it would have been Friday, I just went, rightio, I just need a day that I'm just taking it really slow and quiet. And I think I ended up putting some music on in the afternoon. I think no one was home, so I just blasted Hilltop Woods for a bit through a Bluetooth speaker, and that was very nice. But it's just like there's nothing that can quite prepare you for being diagnosed with a thing of, you now need to go through this really dangerous treatment, which could, it's very bad for you, but it's also going to be very good for you. Like, because the thing with chemotherapy that I'm learning is that it targets all your targets the bad cells, but it will screw up all your good cells at the same time. So, your immune system is going to go absolutely haywire. So I've gone through and gotten myself a flu shot, and I've had to go get my teeth checked at my dentist. I don't like the dentist, by the way, but right now he's looking pretty good. I like dentist. Chemo, I kind of feel like I'd still lean towards the dentist. Chemo sounds really scary, but I spoke to my chemotherapy nurse, one of them the other week, and they are just really lovely and really friendly. And everyone I've spoken to, every doctor's office that I've had to deal with, because then suddenly you've got a team of doctors that like you didn't have before. So it's like, okay, so when's the game on then? Because like you've got to line everyone up and get all the things sorted, and it's been a whirlwind for like since the 5th of April, essentially. That was when I first found out there was something wrong.
Yeah.
Probably me that day, and it was rainy in Adelaide as well, so it was like the rain and the weather matched my mood. I was pretty gutted at that point, knowing that there was something in there that wasn't right. kind of at peace, and part of me was at peace because I was like, cool, they found that something's wrong. Right, this is good. But the rest of me was like, no, this is not good. And, you know, you just, like, you don't know what you're expecting. So I was geared up for, like, worst case scenario, or maybe I have to have an operation again, which I really didn't want to do because it's like that's pretty scary in itself. And then, you know, going in for an MRI and a CT scan 2 days after having an ultrasound that showed something. And then the following week, my specialist that deals with my ongoing digestive condition, he rang me. He's like, look, I've spoken about you at an MDT. And for anyone who's watching at home or listening at home, MDT stands for multidisciplinary team. And basically it's where a bunch of doctors get together from all different areas and have a discussion. And he's like, I've gotten this professor person who's one of the best in Adelaide to call you this afternoon or tomorrow. And he's discussing your case again at an MDT tomorrow with another bunch of doctors. And he'll probably have an appointment with you later in the week. And I was just gone, right, that's really quick. Is it this bad? And he goes, yeah, we need to have a look at this. I'm like, so we're not doing surgery? He goes, no, we can't really do it. I'm like, right. He goes, but these treatments that you're going to do it are going to be better against the tumory type mass. I'm calling it the blob because there's an old school movie called The Blob, basically where this blob tries to take over a town. And it's like a really old school sci-fi type movie, like super old school. And I was like, radio, that's just going to have to be it. Because if I can't make fun of this in some way, I'm going to just do my head in.
Yeah, you've got to sort of take it.
It's not even self-deprecating. It's the case of, if I can't make a joke about you and make you less scary, then what's the point?
You're going to be shitting yourself through the whole process.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are days where I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I apparently appear very put together, but I don't feel very put together.
Yeah. And look, there are days that I have that as well, where it's like, you know, you're on top of your game, you punching shit out, like boom, 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 boom. And then like one random day, something just happens and you're just like, nah, can't human today, can't do this, nah, fuck off, leave me alone, sort of thing.
And I guess for me, the reason I'm being very vocal about this diagnosis, even if I'm not giving all the details out, because it's a personal cancer, and everyone's cancer journey is different. And for me, it's a case of, as a person who's female and identifies as being female, with those particular group of organs, there are certain checks you have to do as a female.
Yep.
Which is you have to have those cervical screening tests, and they recommend when you're in your 20s to get those HPV vaccines. And unfortunately, with this tumory mass, it's related to the HPV virus. But from what I found out, that's a bad thing. And it's
what's the HPV?
Human papilloma virus.
I am going to do the Google foos.
So, yes, it's and there is a vaccine they get you to have called Gardasil, I think, in your 20s. And I think it's a course of 2 or 3 vaccines. And it's apparently meant to be a good thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, yeah. I'm not going to say that on stream because that's, yeah. Okay. Carry on.
Yes. Carry on. So essentially, as female in 20s, your doctors all say, oh, you know, you have this vaccine, it's good because it minimizes anything bad happening when you have your cervical screening tests and stuff. The only issue is that it doesn't prevent all gynecological cancers. And it's not a fixer, but it can protect against some. And so that's why they get women and young girls to have it. The issue I had is that it didn't protect in this case. However, it's got the ability, because it's related to that apparently it's more susceptible to radiotherapy and chemotherapy. So like, it's like, kind of reminds me of that Simpsons meme where Homer's going to that yogurt shop and the guy's like, have some free yogurt. And he's like, oh, this is great, but it's cursed. But it comes with free topping. Well, that's good, but no, that's cursed. It's kind of like, I feel like I'm in that situation. So it's like, I'll find out something good. It might be bad, but it's also good at the same time. And I've just gone, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Which way is this going? So having access to things like the Cancer Council website, which has online resources and resources you can order. I went through and ordered a heap of booklets. Like free stuff, resources, not digital. Good. Give me books.
There's the stuff that you can have in your hand when you're sitting there waiting.
Yeah. So, and apparently I get a welcome pack when I go for my chemo session tomorrow. I'm not sure what that entitles, but it apparently there's that too. But like, I have to give a shout out to my one of the cancer care nurses at the Cancer Council, Deb. She's chatted with me for a few times now, and she's just so good at listening. But also, if you need like a bit of a pep talk, she's right there and helps when you're like feeling a bit unsure about something, framing it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
And positively wonderful lady. And the Cancer Council does that's a free service as well. So if you've got, and it's not just for people with cancer, it's for people who might know someone. So if you've got a really good mate that you're like your best friend's got cancer and you feel like you need support, you can call them and you can say, hey, look, I know someone who's impacted by cancer. They're really dear to me, but I need to talk about it because I'm not sure what to do. Or it's a family member, or it's, it can be for any, like they will help you and they'll be there to talk about it. And there's, however long you need on the phone with them, they'll be on the phone Monday to Friday, and they have online resources as well and message boards. It's very well thought out. So it's I won't lie, this is a shit scary 5 weeks, and I'm not exactly looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being over so I can have a big pizza. But apparently it's going to mess with a lot of my favorite foods and taste and possibly sleep. And contrary to most known beliefs, not everyone going through cancer treatment loses their hair. I might thin a bit, but that's about it. Like, it's only because I'm only doing 1 day a week of chemo. So, and radiotherapy, I think the worst of it is probably going to make me really tired. So I'm probably going to need lots of naps.
Naps are good. Naps are good.
All the naps, all the naps and all the pillows. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think the bit that I probably struggled with the most with this is I'm not good at being unproductive. Like, the thing with this diagnosis is that I'm still able to do a lot of things I would normally do. There are a few things that are a bit more uncomfortable to do, like sitting at my desk is something that I worked out early on, no matter how many cushions I have or whatever, or standing, like I just can't do so. I can't do it, which drives me up the wall, because I'm like, I have this tablet I'm itching to use and software I love using and people that want to see my work, and I've had to just go, well, I can't do that right now. And I look at it each day and go, I want to be able to do it. I want to be there again. So like, that's my current driver. I want to be back.
It somewhat makes you irritable, or I would say angry, in the sense that, because like you want to be doing the things that you want to be doing, but you sort of can't. And like you were saying before, that you don't do well with not doing anything. You have to always be doing something. I get that. I get that with my ADHD. Like, I have to be doing something.
Yeah, I have a I'll be upfront right now. I do see a psychologist for dealing with my inner art critic. That's my critical side. That
your inner art critic.
Yeah, she's like, I said, we joked about it earlier on, and she's like, we can give it a name so that when we refer to it, it's not as
name it Florence.
No.
Name it Florence and give it an accent like, oh yes, and this little art piece here on the wall, it's very 1940s. It's very Delacroix, shall you say.
No, see, the thing is, my art critic's actually quite mean a lot of the time. So I get my negative voice, and it's the pessimist in me that goes, I can't do it. And it's the bit that holds me back from trying things on occasion. And it's the thing of right now, that has flare-ups on occasion, because like, well, I everything else works. My hands still work, my brain still work. Like, why am I not doing something? And at the same time, it's like, because my lower back hurts like all heck, and I'm on pain medication for it. Not too strong at the moment, but that's probably because I'm small.
Yeah, as it says in her in her title, it says small but big heart and little arty.
Yeah, my heart's apparently normal size, so that's good. Like I had scans. It's definitely not enlarged.
When you say normal size, is it normal proportionate to like a normal size person, or normal proportionate to your size?
Proportionate to the rest of me. It's in the right position. It's the right size, and it apparently looks very good. So like that's definitely like, you know, there's not the issue there, but like it's the case of I want to be doing things. I want to be making things for me. So I want to make some of my own work. I mean, I think there might be some interesting art that comes out of this in the end. But I have to just go, look, you know, if I can't do it, I can't do it. Like and that's the bit probably the bit that frustrates me at the moment is knowing that the will is there to do something and I want to do something and just having to go, well, you can't right now. And I'm like,
sort of have to like pull back and like hold the reins a bit. Yeah.
So yeah, it's that. And so the thing that caught me off, like there's an element of anger I feel on occasion, and it's a weird kind of, it's the sad angry cry feeling when you get diagnosed, is that you want to be angry at someone, but there isn't anyone to be angry at because it's your cells that have decided to have an internal rebellion. Essentially, that's what a tumor is. It's where you have cells that mutate and change and go, well, we have the program of what we're meant to do. Scruff that, we'll just do what we want anyway. And this is the result of that. So essentially, the cancer treatment is going to basically be a combination of strategic strikes and also just carpet bombing, the whole lot. And so that's a bit rough.
So you explained before what I think it was chemotherapy that you said that does this, that it targets the bad cells, but also, unfortunately, collateral damage hits some of the good cells too.
Yes.
It's like splash damage, you know, rocket jumping, that sort of shit.
Well, it'd be kind of like if you had a guy in a house that you were trying to get in the game and you had a Molotov cocktail. And so you got the guy, but the house also caught on fire.
That's a pretty good analogy. I like it.
That's probably the best way to explain it, is like you'll get the person in the house, but you're also going to destroy the house, which may have some good loot in it. But you get the guy in the house.
And that's somewhat relatable because based on how you said that you play Battle Royale games as well, that sounds like as if that might be your aim.
I haven't done that many throws of the Molotov cocktails. I've done the Panzerfaust through the window, and that worked in some ways. I managed to get them, but I also got me. That was awkward. But the result was the same. We both got dead.
Look, as long as they died, it's fine. Like, the house can be rebuilt, the person can't.
Yeah, so for me, like, the important message, I guess, the take-home message, if you have something that's going not quite to what your version of normal is to go speak to your doctor. And if that doesn't work, then speak to another doctor or speak to someone and keep asking to get looked at until you find out why. Because you don't know what's there. Like, the thing with this was that it was masquerading as a few other things. And then it took for me to, like, I think it was like late February, I had a patch of time where I thought, oh, maybe I was having a really upset tummy for a bit. And because I have a family history of polyps, which is like growth that happen in the digestive tract, and I was aware of that, I went in and I saw my specialist and I got looked at. And it wasn't that, like, that side of things was fine. But he said, look, I'll order some CTs and I'll get you in overnight and we'll have a look. And that led to my other sort of, GPs and doctors going, okay, well, we can have a look at these things instead. And so, checking the whole systems, essentially doing a diagnostic, and then a month later I found out what it was. But like, it was the case of, if you don't know and you're not sure, ask the question, because you don't know what's going to be. If you don't, like, it could just be something completely benign and ridiculous. And that's kind of what I was hoping for. I think that's why when I got the news it wasn't, that's where I was I felt like I went through the floor and then some.
I guess here, like, it's asking to get an answer that you're satisfied with, like whether it be the bad news that, hey, yeah, you've got cancer, or the good news of, no, there's nothing, fine, we've checked and triple checked. Keep asking.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like, because if you know that everyone knows their own body and every body is different. But if you know what your version of normal is and something happens that's outside of that scope, it is worth going to a doctor and you're having that conversation of, hey, this has happened. I'm not sure what it is. It might just be nothing. It might be something. And that's the really important part of it. Like, there's no shame in going off to a doctor, if whether it's your well-being, whether it's a physical thing. Like, if you're not sure, take that brave step and go, hey, look, this has happened. I'm not sure what the go is, but can you help me
Yeah.
find out what it is? And that's the important thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's important to be able to be brave, essentially. It is a form of bravery because you don't know when it's going to be something serious or not, unless you've got medical expertise. And even then, you're probably still going to need to speak to someone anyway, because doctors can't treat themselves.
Exactly. Like, sort of around that subject, like you said before about like the cancer council lines of having somebody to talk to, not just for yourself as somebody who's going through the you know, the I'm going to say the experience, but also people that are around you that have to sort of either live with you or help look after you or support you, or, you know, just like a mate that's like, you know, really, really close to you and they're like really, really shocked. You said before that the Cancer Council has those people on hand to sort of have those phone conversations. I will grab those details from you after the podcast has ended. I'll chuck them in the video description. So that way, if there's anybody else in the chat that is, you know, got a similar circumstance in their hands, they've got those resources if they're in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. I meant to bring that stuff in with me before we started, but I think I left it in the kitchen.
Don't worry. That's what editing the description and updating the links post stream is for.
That's it. But I mean, like, for me, if you're, and with it's just a thing, I'm going to go a bit political for a moment.
Go your hardest. As I said, we want the uncensored Arty. We want Arty saying fuck, shit, and cunt like I do on a daily basis.
So for Aussies, you have that wonderful green piece of plastic in your wallet that's a Medicare card. If you want it to stay in your wallet, then you really need to be considered as to how you vote at an election. I'm not telling you how to vote, but I'm just saying that green piece of plastic, really important, because for me, it's covered a chunk of my scans so far, and it is actually going to reduce a chunk of my out-of-pocket costs for radiotherapy, which I still think the healthcare system needs to be reformed on, because I have had hospital insurance and private health stuff, but even then that's expensive. But for me, I know I need to have it because I know I have an ongoing medical condition which I need to go to hospital for anyway. So they need to fix things like putting dental into Medicare would be a very smart thing, even if it just reduced the cost of seeing a dentist a little bit. That would be nice. I mean, I have a great dentist anyway who gives me a discount, but the point is I still have out-of-pocket costs. With your healthcare system, fun part I learned a few weeks ago was MRI scans not included in Medicare, so there's an out-of-pocket cost. But certain things like CT scans are included in Medicare, so at the doctor's discretion, they can bulk bill it. That's the bit that annoys me. If you don't tell your doctor you have, like, if it's a medically needed scan and you go, okay, I need you to bulk bill this appointment or bulk bill this scan, can you do it? Most doctors will say, yeah, I can, or they'll reduce the cost down to an equitable amount. For me, Medicare is going to pay the bulk of my radiotherapy treatment, but my chemotherapy is covered by private health. I don't know how it would work in the public system. I think I would be covered under Medicare at a public hospital, but because I have private health insurance, I'll leave the public space for someone else. It's just like there's an absolute shit show there. Like, I'm learning that things are not as straightforward as I used to deal with them being, which is I've had private health, so I've gone through the private system for a lot of stuff and not had to pay for anything, but it's getting very complicated now. And it shouldn't be complicated. If you're sick, you're sick. Like, it shouldn't be a case of, is this an outpatient thing or inpatient thing? do I need health insurance? Do I need Medicare? How much do I need to have aside for contingencies?
You shouldn't need a fucking accountant to get better.
Well, no, you shouldn't. And you shouldn't need to go how, like, having this stupid amount of what's covered. And even Google can't even answer those questions. It shouldn't be that complicated. And if you're sick, you should be able to get support from the government. If you can't work and have something like cancer, you shouldn't have, or an ongoing medical condition, it should be, if you've got medical evidence, cool, we'll just help you out. It shouldn't be means tested to the extent that it is. And that's what probably got me really angry, is that I didn't foresee something like this coming, so I wasn't ready for it. And of course, when you're not ready for something, that's usually when it happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's just like, I got mad. And then I'm like, well, what can I do? So I went, okay, I have a crowdfunding platform which I can use. Not really comfortable doing it, but if it means later on I can bring back, say, my AK racing chair goal once I've gotten through this and gotten to the new house we're building, then I'll do it. And that's the thing of, I don't like asking for money at a good day. Like, for people who've had commissions from me, when their invoices due, I would send them a polite reminder. But if they can't pay for whatever reason, I'll, give them an extension, or if they need a payment plan, I'll do it. There's no questions asked. That's just me. I'm not good at asking people for money, even if it's something they're paying for. It's shitty that in Australia in 2022, you can get a free vaccine for a pandemic thing that we're dealing with, but a flu shot you still need to pay for, even though they're telling you need to get a flu shot. And certain medications are at certain prices, and it can vary from chemist to chemist. And scans and treatment for things that, it's not like cancer's a new thing. It's not like it's a new thing. They've known about it for decades. Cancer's out there.
They probably had the fucking cure for it for decades.
Oh, look, if there's a vaccine for it, I'd definitely take it. Do it now. Probably a bit late because I've got it, but I'm just but it's just that sort of thing. That's what frustrates me, is that our healthcare system is very much trending to a user pays, and if you've got money, you can get help really easily and access to stuff. And that's completely wrong. It's just wrong. Like,
it shouldn't be. You're able to have the quality of life, or you're able to be healthy because you can afford it. Like, the quality of life and the ability to live I would say, quote unquote, normal life, as normal as can be, should be the right of everyone, not just the rich cunts at the top end of town.
Well, that's it. Your wallet and your paycheck shouldn't determine what you're able to access. If anything, if you've got the ability to pay, then you should. I'm not going to go all socialist, but it's the whole thing of
just go ham with it.
If you have $100,000 salary, granted you still have to pay a Medicare levy and all the rest of it, but like, the same guy that may own 25,000 or less, or need help with social services, should still have access to the quality of life. Because if you can get someone, what frustrating is when they raised the job seeker rates for people and supported them through the pandemic, is that people were then able to make those healthier choices, or get the medications they needed, or get to the doctor if they really needed that appointment. And it shouldn't be a case of, if you have to go on a healthcare plan to go see a psychologist or go to a doctor or go see a different specialist, that it's then up to that specialist or the doctor to decide whether they're going to bulk bill you all the way or only part of the way. It should just be, okay, if you're on a healthcare plan, you should definitely be getting completely bulk billed. If you're not on a healthcare plan, you should still have access to a moderately priced service that should be funded. Because let's face it, if we stopped all the retired police salaries and all their perks, and gave them an allocated amount of funds for travel, so they couldn't spend it all at once, then it would be better. They think people who get into politics now, I'm very skeptical about the ones that do, particularly if they're the major parties, because, like, well, are you in it for yourself, or are you in it because you're doing some backroom deal with someone to get a cushy job later? Because that's what all I see is the retired politician gets a cushy job.
It's fucking insane how much their salaries afterwards.
Because the thing is, you can be a retired politician and still get a pension before retirement age. Like, I think if you're going to get your pension, you should have to wait till you're retired, like everybody else, to get it. And that it doesn't work like that with politicians. They can just they've got their perks for life essentially, and it's really shit.
Yeah, they like finish up their elected term with fucking, what is it, 6-figure salaries or six-figure pensions at the end of it, just for, you know, what is it, 14 sitting days per year?
Oh, you know, and then some. But like, I have to say, of our state politicians, we've actually had some good ones come through. And whilst our current speaker in one of the houses, Dan Cregan, who's got, I think, the Seaton Mountain that involves Mount Barker, he was originally a Liberal, but he jumped ship and went, I'm going to go for the best of my electorate. And now he's like the speaker again under the new government. And he's like doing what you would expect for a politician. You're going, I'm putting my community first. I'm not taking the company car, which is the politicians, whatever it is they call the public servants car or whatever it is they have. I'll drive myself. Or I'm like, good, because just because you're a politician doesn't mean you should be automatically given a car. Like, I get it if you're like maybe the premier or like the opposition leader, because, you know, they're leaders or potential leader. Like, I get that. And they're higher up enough that it makes kind of a little bit of sense. I can kind of justify it, maybe, because, you know, security details and whatnot. But if you're like everyone else in there, then I'm sorry, you've got the ability to have your own car or transport in, then do it.
I'm sorry, you can fucking drive, can't you? Well, get on your bike then, son.
On your bike, on your scooter, on your motorbike. You know.
That reminds me of, like, because I take public transport to and fro work, and there are a number of days that I see out the front of the South Australian Parliament House where there's like a bunch of like Audis and whatever, like government plated cars all sitting out the front waiting for them, the ministers to like get in and their drivers to chauffeur them off to fuck knows where. Like, come on, you don't fucking need this shit. You can fucking walk to a car park around the corner, mate.
Yeah, it's very much they've gone, okay, we get entitlements, let's run. And it's like, I mean, granted, there's probably a lot in there that aren't. Like, I know it's probably more a federal thing at the moment. We've, you know, a chunk of people who are running as independent candidates. I think they're calling them the Teal Party or something, because they're all the independents have gone, let's just unify behind one particular colour, which is like a tealy, greeny, blue colour. And it's like, you can see the reason they're running is because their electorates are feeling left behind or not listened to. And that's because they're not being listened to. Like, the way the campaigns run at the moment is that politicians only care about the marginal seats. If you're in a marginal seat, which is a seat that's only just being held by Labor or Liberal or Nationals, if you're in that area of the country, they don't care about you if you're not there. Like, Boothby in South Australia is so hotly contested right now.
Boothby.
I don't live in Boothby, but like, you know, that's the, you know, you've got Joe Dyer, who is an independent running, and, you know, like small fish versus the too big two, and it could go any which way. But like, everyone's in Boothby. Every time they come to South Australia, they'll be making an announcement in Boothby today because it's blah and this is happening. It's like, we have other seats, you know.
Isn't the Boothby held by that really contentious woman in the Liberals? I can't remember her fucking name.
Nicole Flint, that's retired.
Nicole Flint, that's the one. Yeah, she's like really contentious just for no fucking reason.
I mean, South Australian politics and federal politics is just really weird. Like Nick, I feel like we've gone back in a time off of it because we've got Nick Xenophon running federally again.
Yeah, the holy
like,
shit, that's been over a fucking decade.
well, he left. He started in state politics, and I remember the year that he got in state politics, and he won too many votes in the Legislative Council, which is like the equivalent of the Senate on a federal level. And I remember that he had to get someone else to run to fill out. He had to find someone else to fill his second seat because he was the year that he was really worried he wasn't going to be able to make a second tilt at state politics. And he was pulling out all the stops, all the gimmicks and stuff, and being very entertaining on the news. It was making politics relevant for a while. And then he got like 2 seats. And so it's like they had to fill up a second seat for a while there in state politics. But independents always frighten the big two. And with good reason, because the whole point is if you've got a mix of small parties and independents, you no longer have the ability to not negotiate with them if they've got a few seats because you need their votes, which for us as the electorate and the voters is actually really important because then stuff actually gets done in Parliament that is actually on the whole better.
They're there to keep them in check, basically.
Yeah, I mean, well, we used to have the Democrats, and then Meg Lee signed with John Howard to allow us to have the GST, and then the Democrats just faded into oblivion, so we don't have them anymore. Although I think they're on the ballot paper again, but only just.
Sounds like the Greens somewhat.
No, the Greens. Yeah, well, I mean, it could be interesting how they go. Everyone's making interesting policy choices, but the one thing with this federal election, and I noticed it with the state election too, is media coverage in Australia is getting very skewed, like stupidly skewed, and it's like it's not even trying to show neutrality like it used to. Like years ago, you had the media; they would just report on so and so is doing this, other parties doing this, and they would critique them both the same.
Yep.
Now it's like,
now you can clearly see the bias, or at least the leaning between one media outlet siding with the left side of politics, or this media outlet siding with the right side of politics. It's just very clear now, as before it wasn't.
And they're going for their whole we've got to try and catch them out, so we get a newsworthy audio clip, and it's like, no, it's not your job. Like, if you're going to get them in a gotcha moment, let it actually happen, but stop angling for that because it's not helping get the news out.
I believe the term is engineering, like they're engineering.
That's the word.
Like these certain outrage circumstances that they can print and sell papers or sell fucking news space or whatever, and get those viewers and stuff like that. Like, it's become a bit more entertainment weekly than actual journalism.
And that's why for me, I might watch a bit of the actual news, like the regular news, but if I actually want to read a story that's happening globally or even on nationally, I'll probably more likely to go to like an independent news source like The Guardian, because they try to basically critique both sides. They try to do what journalists are meant to do, which is report the story that happens when it happens. And I think they do their best to make sure they're fairly neutral. Everyone personally has their own bias, and so it's never going to get rid of it. But at least they try to just keep their lid on that, and they just try to report the story. It's interesting to see what will happen with the 7:30 report on the ABC, because Lee Sales is retiring at the end of the year, and they've got one of their overseas reporters who's filled in for Lee Sales before, Sarah Ferguson, who's very good. And I don't know if the clip's still circulating, but there was a clip from her interview of Joe Hockey back in 2014, and it was very beautifully done. She basically just tore him to shreds in one sentence, because I think they talked about pre-election not having any new taxes, and then he'd done his first budget or made some announcements after that election win or something.
And then there's like a bunch of new taxes.
Yeah, but her sentence, you have to Google it. It would be I can't do it justice, but it's just very eloquently put together a sentence, and she did it without breaking a sweat and without like losing her composure, and then you see him, and it's like the facial expression.
He just shits himself.
He's just like, oh my god, why did I turn up today? And so she's now the new host, and so her with Lara Tingle doing her regular segment. I think we're going to be getting a better after news current affairs program, because that's the important bit. Like, you want accurate reporting, you want good reporting that's engaging, but you want to find the facts out. You don't want nonsense, essentially. Yeah. And it's really important as people go in the lead up to the election that they, as much as we don't like politics in Australia, because we're very boring about that. Like, it's one thing that most people don't like.
It's like white noise for some people.
Yeah, you kind of need to make sure that you are aware of the power of your ballot paper, because not everyone has the ability that we have in Australia, which is that you can go to a ballot box and not be shot at, or live in a country where there is not civil war. Like, we have the freedom in Australia to not like Joe Blow down the street, and also know that Joe Blow probably doesn't have guns and can't shoot you in most instances, unless of course they've managed to obtain guns illegally or have got a license. But the point is that you and Joe Blow can have a complete disregard and not like each other at all. But there's an element of, you have respect for your fellow man in this country, or fellow human, actually, if I'm going to be correct. So like, we have a lot of power with that ballot paper to shape what happens with our state politics and also federal politics. So people should be very careful about what they tick on the ballot paper, if that makes sense. Don't go in there and just draw a dick on it because you don't like
not like this logo over here.
Yeah, Jackson Midnight pointed out to me, who's, you know what that is, right? I'm like, look, yeah, I mean, it's still better than the Women's Network logo that the government designed. Because do you remember that one? Like, it went over the internet. And I saw it, I'm like, hang on, they do understand what they've done, and it's called the Women's Network, but that just looks like a
dick.
A dick. And I'm like, if I had presented that to a client, I'm pretty sure they would have gone, I'm not paying for that. Who? And they paid how much for it?
I have no fucking idea, but as a graphic designer, I was cringing hard.
I kind of laughed when I saw it. I was like, because I initially saw it, oh, no, that's going to be like a meme. Someone's just, surely not. It was kind of like when they did that Made in AU, meant to be wattle leaf design, which they've now scrapped, but they got rid of it because it looked like the coronavirus shape that they keep putting on the news. And it was just like
the little ball with like little spines and shit coming off of it.
I'm like, do people not look at things and research things before they just sign off and go, yeah, we'll just pay for this? Or did they just pay for it and then get sent it and go, well, we've paid for it now?
The memes that came out days after, or not even days after, I'm pretty sure it was the same fucking day. The memes that came out with the women's, I'm not sure even what the organization was for, but it was basically that logo, which was like a W in purple, and then like this big phallic fucking half. The
phallic symbol, yeah.
Yeah, phallic symbol, like this phallic fucking accent at the end of it that looked like cock and balls, and then they plastered that on Scott Morrison's forehead, and it was just gold. Like, go hard, dickhead, go hard.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's telling when you have a government that they can just not be responsible for anything, but they can still be in government. And I've just gone, if I had made as many stuff-ups as this government had, I would have been out of a job when I was working in retail so fast. It's not funny. Like, you just can't.
Work choices.
Yeah. It's just, even stuff like the Robodebt thing, where they basically didn't take responsibility for it. I can't remember what their wording was when they apologized, but they apologized without using the word sorry. And I'm like,
it was probably the equivalent of lol soz.
Yeah. I was like, and it's just like, people died, people went into financial ruin, and just no accountability. And I'm like, no other workplace except for government can you have no accountability. And it's just like, who does this? Like, because in your job, you'd have to have accountability. If you're working in customer service or whatever you're doing, or if you're working as a tradie, you've got to have, like, there's always someone watching, and there's someone that's going to go, hey, look, what are you doing? And it's just like, hello? How do you do this?
Well,
it's just unbelievable.
Coming back to how you were saying before, like what sort of started this with like Medicare and all that other fun stuff, like with the election, like I think what you were sort of going for was make your vote count. I've got one better for you. If you don't like what the fuck is happening, do something about it. May 10th.
You have... No, it's May 21.
Is it May 21 or May 10th?
May 21, but if you think
whenever, just fucking do something about it.
Well, that's it. And if if you can't be at a polling place, find out if you can vote early. Like,
and
as long
don't
as you get
use the fucking ballot, the fucking what do you call it? Postal voting shit that they fucking send you out, like from a political party, because they're collecting your fucking data.
That's right. You need to go to the Australian Electoral Commission and check that your details are up to date. And also, if you haven't done that already, if you want to post a vote, I think you can still register if you've got a sufficiently good reason. I mean, I'm already a postal voter for other reasons. So for me, it's like I've got my ballot papers already, which is how I know that we've got Democrats on it again.
Fair enough.
I brewed it the other day. Like, we have a very interesting mix of people. There's even a party when they're called the local party, and I'm like, what do you mean local party? Like, I'm sorry, who's having the party, and how local is it?
So, with the postal vote application forms that were sent out by the local senators for the Liberal Party, I totally forgot to post it, but I'm probably going to do that at some point soon. But because it'll still go there. But we used Raspberry's cry cut to cut out a bunch of dicks out of the ballot paper, and then we put it back in, so it's basically dick glitter. So when they go to open it to go and collect our fucking info, they're just going to get all of this dick glitter come out. It's going to be fucking hilarious.
And you won't be there to see it.
No, but I'll know that they've received it, and some poor cunt's got fucking dicks all over his fucking desk.
Yeah. So this is the thing, though, and that's the thing the AEC said, that they haven't got a rule to say that people can't, like, parties can't do it, but they are very concerned with the volume of those sort of applications going out. So essentially, if you want to post a vote, just go directly to the source, which is the Australian Electoral Commission. I think it's a .com.au or .gov.
Yeah, it's aec.gov.au, I think.
There we go. And just find out all your voting information from there. They've also got voting information on other languages. If your English isn't your first language, you can still do it. The other thing that's really cool is...
And then there's also Google Translate if you're using Google Chrome.
True. You've also got to make sure you read the ballot paper instructions, because the green ballot paper, which is the small one, you have to number, I think, all the boxes. First preference being the person you like the most, to like the last box being the least liked person. They changed the big ballot paper at the last election, I think, which is you can number, I think, up to 6. So you can either do the one above the line, if I'm remembering it correctly, and then you can go up to 12 below the line, similar to the state election. So you can number more than the one box below the line, which is good, because it used to be the really archaic rule of you could number one box above the line for the Senate, and then you had to number, or you could number all the boxes below. And Australians can't count because most people would stuff up the bottom though.
There are way too many fucking boxes underneath the line. Like, it is, you would spend a good 30 minutes trying to fill all of that out and prioritize exactly to the nth degree where you want your votes to flow.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Which is why I think they went to 12, because people can count to 12. They've worked out most people can count to 12, so they've gone, right, do this many above the line, and now we can go to 12 below the line. Or if you want to, you can. If you've got the patience and the time, and you can definitely keep count with your pencil, you can go all the boxes. But the minimum, I think, below the line is 12 now, which is
I'm pretty sure at the state election that had just gone, like there was a couple of representatives for Pauline Hanson's One Nation, and it's like I'm like filling out the order and I'm trying to put them last, but then I put a little comment off to the side. Absolutely fucking not.
It was difficult, I think, for me in the state elections. Like we had a few parties I wasn't too confident about. I'm like, I had to number. You see the green ballot paper. The green ballot paper annoys me because like you can't go. I want to put these equal last. It's like you just have to you have to go 1 to 6 or 1 to 5 or however many you've got to choose from. And I was just like, but I don't want these to be like.
I don't want these cunts in here at all.
Yeah, do I have to number this box? Like, why do we have to do this? It's just like, but again, gets back to the fundamental thing we have in Australia, which is we have the ability to go to and from a polling place safely. And that is really important to think about. If you're thinking about going there and going, I'm going to do a donkey vote, which is either deliberately vote improperly. There are people that can't do that, just even showing up to vote. Like, it's really important that you get this choice every 3 years to make the change, because you can't really go, I'm going to donkey vote, but then after the election go, oh, I don't like the outcome, I'm going to get shitty. It's like, well, no, you have your one shot.
They don't have the fucking right to say they're going to get shitty.
No, but there are people that will get shitty because that's what people do, unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, for me, like, I take my right to vote very seriously, just because we have that freedom to do that. We have a lot of freedoms in Australia, but people saying that we don't have freedoms, you have quite a lot. I mean, we have very safe, relatively safe streets for, there's not a lot of, the last time we ever had a mass shooting was Port Arthur, which was
also the last time as well.
Yeah.
Minus the Lint Street Cafe siege.
I mean, that's still technically a mass shooting as well.
But not with guns that they managed to acquire over the counter. No.
And the thing is, that's one of the few times we had really good political change in this country where you had people go, rightio, we need to make this change and it needs to happen. And look, I mean, it's just one of those things. You've got to have safe streets, and if not having guns makes it a bit safer. I mean, granted, we do have an issue with, I think, my current gripe that I wish someone would act on, but I can understand why it won't happen, is all those gambling ads on the TV. Because the gambling lobby and the hotel lobby in Australia is probably now one of the biggest things. That's why we've got the big casinos. And anytime a politician tried to go after the gambling lobbies, they've had a lot of difficulty getting anything done. There've been several news stories and reports done on like ABC and SBS about things like that, where basically they've gone after these politicians because the funding is, unfortunately, it gets back to who's got the money in Australia right now. And your gambling lobbies, your News Corp, I think
your Gina Reinhardt.
Fairfax and Channel 9 have merged, so I'm not sure if that's Fairfax or Channel 9, but that media group there is another big pool. You've got, I mean, you've got a lot of people, a handful of people owning a lot of Australia, and that has influence. So it's really, it's poop.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
What we might do, because we are nearing on an hour and 30 minutes, I think, which is probably the longest I've ever gone for a podcast. We might take.
When you had talking shit.
Hey, look, as I said, like this podcast is about talking shit about shit. You know, and it has been fucking amazing organic conversation tonight as well. Like, it's just been one topic that's led into the next. It's been sort of like everything's connected. Like, you know, that fucking meme of Charlie.
Everything is connected.
Yeah, like literally everything's fucking connected. But what we might do now before we wrap up for the night is we might take some questions from chat. So things that we've talked about. We've talked about Arty, her creative pursuits, her unfortunate diagnosis of cancer that she's got, Australian politics. We've talked about a number of different fucking things tonight. Are there any questions from chat? Does chat have any questions for myself or the lovely Little Arty?
Yeah, ask me why you chat. I mean, if it's within reason, I'll answer it. If it's not, I'll tell you.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it ends up being too personal, just say, no, I'm not going to fucking answer that. No, fuck off. But it has been an absolute delight to bring you here on the podcast and, you know, talk about all these awesome things. Like, who knows? You could start a podcast in the future. You've got a knack for it.
I like hanging out with friends who do podcasts because it's fun that way. Like, it's cool to be able to have this conversation, but know that there may be someone that might pop up with a question now or even later on. But for me, this is one thing, especially with what I have to start doing tomorrow with the treatment, I was really looking forward to doing because of, like, you and I have been friends for ages and we've always had a really good rapport. And one thing I like about you don't, I always know what I'm going to get with you. Like, you're very much a straight shooter. Like, if you call a spade, and
I call a spade, and then I hit somebody with it.
There we go. And, you know, so it's like, well, if I'm going to do this, this is one thing I wanted to do. I thought I didn't want to get to tomorrow, we didn't have this moment tonight to just talk and hang out and go, and then wake up tomorrow morning and go, I wish I said yes, because I didn't want to miss that opportunity just to catch up. Because the thing with COVID, it's really hard to catch up with friends. But for me, I'm going to a sort of a self-imposed lockdown for like 5 weeks where I'm only going to be going to treatment places. I'm not even feeling brave enough, even though I'm triple vaxxed and flu vaxxed, to venture out to shops. That may change, but if I do, it'll only be to certain places. And if there's a QR code, I'll be checking in. So if something goes wrong, I know where it's come from.
I don't think they're even using that anymore. I think they dropped that entirely.
I think only a few doctors and a few chemists might still have it. But it's just a thing of
like the doctors and the chemists that we've been to in like the last week aren't using them.
Yeah. For me, it's just a case of like, I've got to have my hands down, I've got to have my mask. So like, COVID rules for me haven't changed yet. I still have to get through 5 weeks and then winter time. So if you are in a place where the masks are optional, and the sensible thing coming into flu season is just to wear them. I know we don't have to wear them in South Australia particularly, but like, just wear them. And if you are sick, stay the fuck home.
Stay the fuck home. Like,
stay the fuck home. If you're sick, just stay home. Because
like the topic of the Medicare that we spoke of before, like how we were saying it's not just for those who have money to be able to live a good and healthy life and, you know, get medical treatment. Like, it's also like comes back to being sick and having to go to work. Like,
oh yeah, and that's the thing. Casual employment in this country is absolutely shitty for that.
Yeah.
But in this instance, if you can afford to get a flu jab, or if you've got a healthcare plan and to speak to your GP, you might be able to get a free flu shot. Just because the thing is, with me being out in public at the moment, I don't look sick. I might look a bit sore, but I don't, like, people with cancer don't necessarily look sick.
It's an invisible illness.
Yeah, it's got things where it sort of perks up here and there, but generally it's basically I look like a normal person. So like a couple of times this week I had to catch out, ventured out for a scan, and I wanted to go by myself and do it. I was being stubborn, and also just it was nice weather. I went out and took myself on the bus, and I went, you know what? I'm going to sit with my. I took an orthopedic back cushion for comfort. I'm going to sit in the red zone. I'm like, I get to sit in the red zone. I know I'm allowed to sit in the red zone. I still feel bad sitting in the red zone because I'm like, I don't look like I need to. But I'm like, no, stuff it. I've got to sit on the red zone. And for people not in South Australia, our bus seats and public transport seats are blue, unless, of course, they're red, which is for prioritised seating.
And unless you're on the tram when it's the other way round.
Oh, crap, it is too. Shit.
It's like one of the things that I fucking noticed. It's like on buses, like the fucking priority seating is red, and then on the fucking trams, it's the other way around.
I swear they do it just to screw with everyone.
At least they've got on the fucking trams like the big fuck off red signs that say this is for priority seating. If you're not sick, fuck off.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't put it like Hyper's done it, but yeah, essentially, it's this is very clearly marked. But it's like, yeah, I felt bad, but at the same time, I'm like, no, I've actually got a justifiable reason. I've just gone to have like my specialized CT scan with my tattoos, and I'm feeling like I need to sit down on this bus seat. And then at the same time, I still saw an elderly lady come onto the bus with her walking stick, and even though there was another seat nearby, I still almost did the reflex thing of I feel like I need to give this person my seat, even though there were ample seats everywhere. And there are also still priority seating available. I wasn't sure if she wanted that specific one where I was sitting. And so I almost reflexively got up, and then she sat somewhere else anyway. I think she even sat on a blue seat. So it's just like, yeah, it's this weird thing of I'm sick, but I'm not feeling all sick all the time. It's strange.
You get that, like that. It's somewhat a variant of imposter syndrome, because it's like you know that you warrant or you qualify for being able to do X, Y, or Z, but like the perception to others who don't know your like what it is that you're going through, like that's the perception that you take, the way that you assess yourself as to whether or not you're able to sit in these zones or, you know, take up that precious seat. And
or even put in, like, for people who have a chronic health condition, if you feel like you can't do 100% of the work and 100% of your responsibility all the time, even just the thing of, should I apply for a disability support pension and go through the criteria for it, even if I've got the medical backing or you've got the medical backing, even that is a difficult challenge for some people as well, because they will put you through
hell.
Well, no, see, hell is what I would say the job seeker application is. For me, I was on DSP at one point for a while there when I wasn't well and my medical condition was flaring pretty badly. I would rate it worse than that, because you have this point of, you've got to go through these checkpoints. You've got to provide all the medical documentation and who you are, and provide them with financial information, what you've done with your life. And then they will scrutinize that under a job capacity assessment. And then if they still feel like you've got this medical information, but they want to scrutinize you a bit further, they'll make you see an independent doctor who may or may not have all of your medical information that you have submitted. It depends on when they've sent him your file. And technically, they're not allowed to look at what you've brought in with you, because you might have brought all the files in that you've sent in, but he may only have some of your files, or he or she. In my case, it was a he. And it's like, I still managed to get them to look at my other files, because like, I said, well, hang on, I've uploaded this, and I showed them my Centrelink app, which had all my documents uploaded. So he had to look at it then. But it was like, they make you feel so less than nothing in order to qualify for something. And even then, they can still have the power to
turn around and say no.
Say no, because you've got this thing called an impairment table or an assessment table that you have to score at least 20 points on. And it's just like, if you've got specialists that have said certain, you know, you've got a sufficient medical history to say warrant it, it shouldn't be that. I'm not saying it should be a slam dunk, but I'm not saying like
it shouldn't be as hard as it is. Like you shouldn't have to justify why you should need it as hard as somebody who like presents no symptoms at all.
Because the thing is, like, I was really prompt with getting them all the medical information with my application. Like, I got super organized. I went, right, I need X, Y, and Z. So, okay, I went and got X, Y, Z, and possibly a few extra alphabetical letters for them, just to, you know, really give them a really big picture. And then I had to wait for them to tell me when I could have a job capacity assessment. I couldn't book it. Like, they would just book it for me. And I was like, well, hang on. So I've given you the medical documentation, and now I have to wait for you to tell me when I can have an appointment, which could be months away. But the thing that people don't know, this is the really, really good, important thing that people need to be aware of. So you have a local member of parliament every local member of parliament has an office. If you're needing help with getting through applications for government assistance or just government stuff in general, you can ring them and you can get help for what you need. So for me, part of what was going on with my medical history at the time was also causing my anxiety to go through the roof. And doing paperwork and forms was also just, with the way the Centrelink system is, just thinning me out a bit. So I ended up going and getting them to have a contact with they got a contact through my local government office at the time, the office, and they had a contact with Centrelink. And so I was able to speed up the process a little bit. It was still really stressful, but I was also able to have a chat with their Centrelink contact here and there as well. You still had to wait for them to ring you on a private number, which again sparked my anxiety. Like, who's ringing?
Who the fuck's
like,
ringing me?
Ringing.
Why?
Who's ringing me now? Why? And it's a private number. Who is it? But I was able to get somewhere. The other cool thing that I found during the process of being on there, which is also actually how the studio started, was I went through a program called the New Enterprise Incentive Scheme, which helps you start
The
a
NICE?
business. Yes.
Yes. Raspberry's been talking about that for a bit.
Yeah. And it's been really cool because you get, if you're on some sort of government support, it means that when you go through the NICE, you could either opt to stay on that government support or you could transition to the NICE allowance, which was for 9 months. And I think you get, I think when I went through back in 2019 through to 2020, just before COVID hit, you could also get, if you were renting and you were getting rent assistance, part of your government benefit, you could also get rent assistance included as part of your NICE allowance. But it did mean that if you got to the end of your financial thing, allowance portion, and you were still in the NICE and your business wasn't doing as well as you were expecting, it did mean that if you were on, say, the DSP, you had to then possibly reapply. Or if you're on job seeker, I think some people were able to allow it to be paused. So they weren't, like, they could resume it, because with job seeker you can pause being on it or not, whereas with NICE you're either on it. Like with the DSP, sorry, you're either on it or you're not. Like, there was no pause option.
And it's a massive clusterfuck to get back on it as well.
And I haven't gone that way again. So for me, it's just been a case of this year was like, radio, I am not going anywhere near Centrelink ever again. It's just too stressful. I mean, I probably, would, when I get to the very much pension age, which is decades away, I'd probably consider like the pension. But
it's at least 4
now,
decades away for you. It's fine.
Yeah, it's a long way away. And by the time I get there, they'll probably change the age again, because that's what they do in Australia.
But by the time that we hit that age, it'll probably be 90 to 100.
Yeah, probably.
Like by the time you're receiving the fucking Queen's letter for hitting 100 years, that's when you can go and fucking retire.
That's if we still have a monarchy at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it's a case of I just go, okay, right, I'm stressed right now with cancer, so I'm not going to apply for Centrelink help, because A, I probably wouldn't get it, and B, by the time I got it, I'm probably going to be out of the just anyway, that's the plan anyway. So it's a case of, like, if you're eligible for something and you need help with something, you have MPs for a reason. They're not just there to sit around in Parliament yelling at each other and being dickheads. Like, their job is to help you, because your vote technically gets them their job.
They're technically your employee.
Bingo. So
I think that's the thing that they lose sight of. Like, yeah, they were voted in by the Australian Parliament. They were voted in because we thought that they were going to represent our interests in a national forum.
And that's the thing. That's why voting is really important to vote.
We have a question. Yay! So
What's the question?
This question comes from Johnny Size, aka Virid Spy.
Hello.
where do we donate to Little Arty, and who do you think will win the election? Now, the answer to your first question, my good sir, in the description is her Ko-Fi link under the information about Arty. If you click on more details, there's a little Ko-Fi link there. She's got the little goal there on her Ko-Fi page where you can donate to, help keep her studio costs afloat. While she's going through this treatment for cancer. But as far as the question of who do you think will win the election, Arty, do you want to weigh in with this one?
So there's this guy in Australia called Anthony Green. He has a blog usually around election time. He's also
usually very wrong.
Oh, his election outcome for South Australia was pretty close when it came to predicting the seat. He's very much a statistician. If that's even the correct pronunciation.
Statistician, yeah, that's the word.
That's the one. Say that 3 times fast.
And the Candyman will come out.
No. No clowns. No clowns. Clowns are not winning the election unless there's a party, in which case...
What are you talking about? They already won the election last time.
No, they're the guys in suits.
Clowns?
No, if that's a circus, it's really bad. And they need to get fired. But no.
No, I'm not playing music, Zoom. Shut up. Carry on.
You've upset Zoom. No, look, he's probably the best one to watch in terms of his blog and his reports on the ABC. I would probably say I used the live feed on the ABC app more than anything, and the Guardian wasn't too bad. But essentially, I don't know who's going to win the election. I don't even know who I think was going to win the election. This is the thing. It's very close for both the major parties. My only hope is we get more minor parties and more independents in, because then it fucks everybody up.
I think the last time that we had more independents in was the time that we had that hung election where we were in a limbo for like 2, maybe 3 weeks while the independents decided who the fuck they were going to, provide which way they were going to swing their ballsack towards.
Are you talking the state election when we had...
No, I'm talking the federal, the one where we had Bob Catter, and those other two.
Oh, that was interesting. See, that made it interesting. That was like, okay, I want to get the popcorn out, and who's spilling the tea today? But this is the thing, you get that every now and then, it's people get annoyed, but it's also really good because it means in order to form government, they have to work with the smaller parties and the independents to get somewhere, and that's what you want, because then shit actually gets done.
Or worthwhile shit gets scrutinized. Or, yeah.
Exactly. You want a balance of representation in the parliament, because then stuff happens. I mean, don't get me wrong, with what happened in WA, where they basically blitzed all the Conservative parties out of almost existence, where they completely went and they beyond wiped the floor with them. I think they wiped the floor with them twice over. Like Labor over there with Mark McGowan have got basically the mandate to do whatever the hell they want for the state, because that's how people voted. End of the day is vote how you choose to vote, not voting a certain way because your family votes one way, and so that's how you think you have to vote. Because there's still that culture in Australia where you've got young people going, my parents vote this way, I should probably vote this way, or my friends vote this way, I should vote this way. End of the day, do your research yourself and work out what you want, and find the people in the party that does that for you, or say they're going to do that for you at least, and then vote, and vote properly. And you only need to vote once
every 4 years, to be exact.
Once every 3 to 4 years, depending on when they call it. So just, I have no idea who's going to do it. And I know how I might vote. I haven't voted yet, but I've still got my postal ballot ready to go. But yeah, this year, the media is probably going to influence things a lot, which is
as they have
bad.
done for the last decade.
Yeah, I think this year is worse though. I noticed it with the state election. It's bad.
They've leaned more towards identity politics rather than actual like focusing on actual policy. Like there was a thing that I saw about Albanese or Albanese, however the fuck you're supposed to pronounce his name, about a makeover for Albanese. Like what the fuck has him losing a little bit of weight, you know, getting a new pair of glasses or spectacles or whatever got to do with him running the country? It's like the same thing with Peter Malinauskas, or however the fuck you're supposed to pronounce his name, like him having a fucking six-pack and going to the pool with his kids. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with running the fucking country or state?
Well, see, I'm going to contradict you on a couple of things there. With Albanese, the thing that they should have celebrated was the fact that he went, I've had a health scare. I'm going to make the healthy changes and set the example of, if you want to lose weight and to make those healthy changes, you can do that. And that's what he did. He lost like 20 kilos in like somewhere between 12 and 20 kilos in like 12 months or something. Like, he worked hard and he's still working hard to eat well. Whereas from what I can see of our Prime Minister, he's gone the opposite way. And I think he was a lot trimmer before he started being the PM. But everyone's focused on the fact how he looks. It's the bit that they didn't go, which is that they've been working on their fitness. And that's important because we do have an obesity epidemic. And if our leaders are sitting like around like fat cats, drinking, you know, wines and stuff at beers at bars, and just looking like they're putting on weight, that doesn't really feel like put the representation out there that you can be healthy if you choose to be healthy. And that's what they didn't report on. They had to go, we need to pick on how he looks because he's trimmed weight and he's, you know, wearing a shirt without a tie. Like, it's like, I don't care if he's wearing a shirt without a tie. I care about the fact. Yeah, I care about he's decided to talk about how he managed to lose the weight, because that's not a small thing to do. Like, making healthy choices is really hard, and sticking with them is really hard because it takes a long time to form a habit, whether it's the habit of I'm going to have breakfast every morning, or I'm going to cut out a packet of chips, or people who quit smoking, it's really hard for them to do. But making healthy choices is something that we don't celebrate a lot in this country. We generally like to critique it first as, oh, so-and-so must have, you know, why is so-and-so on Jenny Craig, or why is so-and-so using Weight Watchers, or
because they want to live better. Like, what the fuck's it to you?
Live better. Yeah. It's like, you know, people want to live better, then let's focus on that. Let's role model that. If you're in politics, you shouldn't be fat because you don't have time to do that. You should be working. Like, whether you're in Parliament sitting and debating a bill, or, you know, signing for some policy that you've decided that you need to have. But if you're sitting around and you look fat in Parliament, that's not healthy to represent your electorate like that, because all that says is that you're fat because you can be, and you're not making those healthy choices, which means if you're not making healthy choices, then what the hell are you doing?
Exactly. I think the way that you've just framed that is makes it sound a lot better of what they should have done, rather than my comment of why the fuck does this matter? Like, I now agree with what you said of it should have been framed that this is what they did to achieve that, not, hey, so-and-so's lost fucking these amount of kilos to make him look better for the political party, because that's the way that it was originally framed.
Because, I mean, I think even they did it here with Malinauskas with the, you know, he was going for his 6 a.m. runs, like, most days of the week. And it's like, yeah, because that's really, I mean, that's hard to do every day, especially it's cold, you know, and doing a 6 a.m. run. And, you know, so he went and did it, but the focus was then on, I think the Young Libs went out after him and went, oh, and they made some slogan. And he just went and made an off-the-cuff comment, which, you know, he probably should have been careful, given that they had cameras about, you know, following him on his run. But the point is like, they focus more on that than the fact that he was out there running every day. And that's important, you know. Running is, you know, if that works for you for fitness, that's good, but it doesn't work for everyone. For me personally, I decided to use an app called Fit On, where
Fit
it's
on.
like the instructor fit on. It's like the instructor is in your phone. It's like, like that feeling of being in a class or having an instructor face to face. It's like that. They're little videos, so you can do anything from like a 4-minute stretch, like desk stretch sort of thing, like working your shoulders, that sort of getting up from your desk, stretch your legs, stretch your arms, sort of thing, to like you can do a really intense session that requires you to have some weights or have some gym equipment with you. I generally do the smaller ones that don't require any equipment because that's nice and low budget for me, but it's really handy. I mean, the annoying part for me is that it does ask you to rate the workout even if you've done it before, which annoys me, but it's free, so it's good.
Yeah, it's free. Fucking go for it. Just get it.
What's it? Yeah.
I think we should probably wrap it up here. I don't think we've got any more questions coming, but
if anyone wants to post one later, we'll get back to it.
But yeah, that too. Like we can always address these on Twitter as we see. But Little Arty, not so little, or little big heart. However, how small with a big heart. What is it? Cafe Grande? I don't know. Fucking whatever. This is your few moments to plug whatever it is that you want to plug. So go your hardest, promote whatever you want. Keep in mind that we've already promoted her Ko-Fi link where you can donate to help keep her studio going whilst she's undergoing cancer treatment. But aside from that, plug something else. Go nuts.
Okay. I have a lovely pinned tweet on my Twitter, which is Little_Arty, and you'll find my links to my non-gaming content and also my art content. And yeah, so all of my Twitch and my link trees are all there. So probably that's the best way to find all of my content in one place, is just to go to the Twitter account of Little_Arty. And yeah, I'm right there. But I have really enjoyed this podcast chat with Hyper tonight, and it's been great to be able to chat with friends. And he's, as much as he looks like he's a prickly cactus at times, he's actually quite nice. So yeah, he's a good guy. Give him a follow. And he and Raspberry Sheep have now got Hyperberry on Ko-fi. Is it, or have you gone with Hyperberry Arcade?
No, it's just Hyperberry. Yeah.
There you go. Go give that a follow and a like and a donate as well, because they are doing some amazingly cool stuff.
Go buy some stuff from the store. Go do that.
They have stuff in their shop. Go spend it.
But Arty, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you tonight. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story about your things that are to come, things that have been in the past with like your gaming squad with Badger and O'Neill. No, so not Badger and O'Neill. Badger and O'Neill are the same person. Badger and Sharks a lot, and Jackson and everything else. Thank you very much for coming on and being the first guest of OnlyBantz. And I speak on the behalf of the Hyperberry community and everyone else that we know that you're going to kick cancer's ass. You're going to fucking kick it right in the fucking nads. And you're going to come back and you're going to be like, I'm back, bitches. And then we're going to fucking squat up in PUBG or some shit.
And then I'll probably build houses in The Sims.
That too. The building houses in The Sims is perfectly valid.
Best bit, I reckon. We'll definitely have all these catch ups. And like I said, I really want to be appreciative of everyone who's, sent me, well wishes and support, and even people who have donated, especially on my Ko-fi page. I've just been overwhelmed with how quickly the goals I've set, and when I've had to unfortunately extend things, that's just been passed. And I wasn't expecting any of that. Like I knew that I had really good folks in my corner, but there have been people I wasn't expecting reach out, and that for me is beyond huge. I just flabbergasted at times, and thank you for all of that. And there's so many cool streamers and people in Adelaide and around the world, and while streaming's gotten a bad rap for being toxic in times, there's lots of wholesome stuff out there, and I'm just very grateful to be on the receiving end of some really good vibes and good energy from people at the moment. And thank you.
As I sometimes put it, there's sometimes a bit of shit cunts, and then there's also a lot of good cunts too. I think I got that from TikTok, actually. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hyperstrike. This is Little Arty. Ko-Fi link is in the description of the video or wherever else this podcast will be published to. We'll see you in another month. We usually, or not usually, this is the first one that we're doing. The OnlyBantz is going to be live on the first Sunday of every month. So I'm going to be talking with a few people about the next guest that we have on board. And we'll go from there. But Arty, thank you very much for coming on board. Hope you have a fucking fantastic night. Good luck tomorrow. And love from everyone in the chat.
Thank you. And
see you, everyone. Have yourselves a good night, yeah? I've got to remember that I haven't got everything set up on my stream deck.